Yes. I just reboot, power off, and power on. That'll work for my computer and my life. Perfect. I could use that right about now. Oh my gosh. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Auntie, where I bring to you the fabulous movers, shakers, moneymakers, and motivators. And today is a special day. My heart is full because I have the fabulous Halley. That's right. The original Rev thing on Instagram. Hello.
Hello. How are you, Miss Davis?
Now, I know you know what this is. The telephone.
I do. Yeah. I am acquainted with this.
We've had telephones for years. Back when it was a group call in the neighborhood, or you had the rotary dial,
Yes,
and now this is
the rotary
touch
dial.
But we could put it on speaker for now.
Okay.
Perfect. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I love your hat.
Oh, thank you so much. I thought I'd wear something a little special.
A little special, a little fabulous. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you have this big black thing right here in front of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've all been used to
Yeah.
that at one point or another. Oh my gosh.
It's been a very long time.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have to say, you are such a gem, and I'm so grateful to get to know you here in the Rochester area. But
Thank you.
I discovered you as I was scrolling along on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And in this crazy, crazy world where you're seeing hate and political things that are going on, or just negativity. And it's I search for the positivity, and my algorithm will present it. But I stumbled upon you one day.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that the simplicity was a mug, nature,
Mm-hmm.
and your calming presence of good morning.
Hmm.
And I just stopped, and I needed to know more. And I was so fascinated by your calming presence. I felt as though I was in the presence of maybe like Buddhist kind of a feeling, And I messaged you. And you were so kind to message back, and we began chatting.
Right.
How on earth did you get started on Instagram? How did this all come together?
I started on Instagram in 2020.
Okay.
And it was really a kind of in response to COVID. And, I had a lot of time on my hands.
Right.
Because we were, cloistered.
Yeah.
I signed up for Instagram. I didn't know what it was. And in the beginning, I was just playing. I was putting up things that I thought were interesting, photos and whatever. And then over time, over the course of a couple of years, then it started to take more of a form.
Right.
And then the concept of a talk show without guests came into my head, which was somewhat inspired by Dame Edith Evans.
Okay.
Edith Evans? Am I saying it wrong? Dame
Edna. Yes,
excuse
of course.
Me. Yeah. The concept of a talk show without guests. And then, so I started doing that, and I was just having fun. And initially it was kind of like I would go and I would start just talking, and I would talk for like 15 minutes straight, and then I would edit it down to see if there were anything in it that was interesting. And I had, I started, like I said, in 2020, I had just a handful of followers.
Right.
And by August of 2024, I had 700 followers. And then in August of 2024,
right,
I put up a video about trash collection in Greenwich, Connecticut. And that video just really was the first big hit video, right? And within a week, I went from 700 followers to over 25,000.
Right.
And by the end of that year, by around Christmas time of that year, I was up to 75,000 or something like that. And I put up another video. It was Christmas Day. I call it the Christmas Day Miracle.
Right.
Because Christmas Day had come. I didn't have time that morning to make a video because I just didn't. It's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day,
Right. Things happen. So I wanted to put up something, and I had done a series of videos one day several weeks before. It was a snowy day like it was that day. And I had put up those were all very popular videos. That was actually the most popular video I ever did, which was the one where I talked about the fairies dancing in the water or whatever. But there was a fourth video on that set that I had assigned to the trash bin.
Right.
Because I just thought it was awful. I was like, no one's going to be interested in it. Actually, it's the one I just mentioned. And so that morning, I was like, I have to put up something. If that's snowy, it was a snowy day, I'll just use that. Never did I think, because that video just was astronomical in the number of people who watched it and the number of people who followed me. I think it was 130,000 followers just from that one video. Yeah.
Well, people, I think, resonate with you for the calming presence and the general life experience. When I first followed you, it was the original Miss Thing.
Yes.
And you've changed to the original Rev Thing, and we'll talk about that in a second. But when I first looked at your Instagram, I was just this overall calming presence of, I thought to myself, this Buddhist, this monk, this priest, maybe. I didn't know any of your life history. And I just want to sit and listen. And I feel such a calming, inspired presence. And it was simple. And it seems pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, your videos end with a lovely cup of coffee and good morning.
Right.
And it's just a lovely way to start the day. And I would imagine that you get a lot of positive feedback from your viewers regarding this same kind of feeling.
Yeah, I do. I do get a lot of positive feedback.
Right.
And I mean, that's the thing that, I'm still amazed. I'm always amazed that people follow me, or as many people who do. But it's great. I mean, it's a lot of fun for me, and it's an opportunity to create a sense of community. Yeah,
community and connection.
Right.
And we'll talk about this in a second because you have such a wonderful history. But your description says a atypical male of a certain age, a storyteller, a public speaker, a talk show host, a theologian, a single parent, an aging autistic adult.
That's right.
And then I added in a counselor and a florist.
Well, yes, I'm a floral artist. Yeah,
floral artist. Yeah,
florist is a broader term.
Right,
it involves a lot more than just making pretty flowers.
Well, let me tell you, I was fascinated when we sat down for lunch to hear a bit of your life story. Tell everyone a brief history of your beautiful life, of how you came to this point of we'll say Instagram fame. But what brought you to this place? Tell us a little bit about your career, your life experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm so old that it might take a whole day. But I was raised on Long Island, and I grew up in a typical kind of family, somewhat dysfunctional.
Right. The good ones. The good ones are, right?
And it was a challenging time. I was a kid. I was a child in the 1960s. So growing up, being queer in the 1960s wasn't the most affirming time. I'm not really sure that there is, but I like to imagine that it's a bit better today than it was. And then teenage years were like everyone's teenage years. They were difficult and whatever. And I went to school, and I went to college, that is. And then after college, I moved into the city, and I started working in healthcare.
Yes.
It was in a place that was natural for me because I just always had this desire to help people, which was partly due to my religious training, but also just due to it's something that's problematic with people who have, people who've been oppressed, right? And who you want to help others, It's just a good thing and also not a good thing.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I can relate. And I've had a difficult childhood and had my struggles. And I never heard that before. So thank you for sharing that, because as you were mentioning, you can almost go overboard where it's really almost.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people who have trauma, right? They in their healing journey, a lot of times they want to work in that. They want to work, with, and which is understandable,
right?
But I say to people from, that's a good thing.
Yes,
but sometimes. It may not be the best thing because you have to deal with your own trauma first, really, before you can really engage someone else. And so, and also sometimes people, they want to do good things because they're lacking a sense of self-worth and lack of self-confidence. That certainly was the case for me. So it's always easier for me to be the helper,
right,
and to be the person who's the caregiver to give. And so I think it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that some people should be aware of what they're going into, because if you're going to be bringing up your own trauma in the course of it. So if you haven't dealt with it, it can be more difficult. Right. And I think that's a lot of times what leads to burnout and stuff. So, but I moved into the city, and I moved in with a couple of friends. Actually, initially, I moved in with a friend and a woman from Italy. Her name was Ileana. She was fabulous, lady from Rome. And then she moved out, and another friend moved in, and that was my early life. We were the Valley of the Dolls. You remember the movie?
Yes. Now, like this is what, the 70s? I'm assuming at that point, or still 60s?
1980.
Oh, 1980 now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because the 70s was when I was in my teens and in college.
School and college.
Right. So it was 1980 when I moved into the city, and I kind of think of that as the beginning of my life in a way, right? Because that's when I came out.
Right.
And which is kind of, it's like was I ever in? That's
that's the question, right?
Everybody, when I came out, like universally, with the sole exception of my mother, every single one of my friends and family were like, okay, tell us something we didn't already know. Or they were like, oh, we were waiting. We were wondering when you were going to finally, come out. Because it was not a surprise to anybody except my mother. She was stunned. She could not believe it. She couldn't answer. She was like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And after listening to her go on for like 10 minutes, I was like, Ma, you're the only one in the entire world who can't believe it.
I think your mom and my mom might have been sisters because my mom had that same kind of reaction. She was like, no, Eddie, you don't want to touch somebody's pickle. I was like, yeah, I do.
Yeah. I'm like, where have you been?
Right.
How tightly closed did you have your eyes?
Oh my God.
Right.
Oh, she even said, I have to share you this. She said, no, Eddie, you don't like Liza Minnelli. Like she knew.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So now you're in the New York City in the height of the AIDS epidemic in the 80s.
It was, yes. It was, yes. In the 80s, and I wound up getting very involved in the HIV/AIDS movement. And it was a rough time, and especially I remember in 1980, it was 81, and the first news reports that came on, I remember me and my friends sitting there, and they called it GERD at the time, gay-related something or other. And we're like, is this a plot? Is it something that was designed or whatever? And it wasn't until 83 that the virus was identified. In the early years, I was part of the Long Island AIDS Project, which was something that began at Stony Brook University in the Allied Health Professions, the School of Allied Health Professions, with Rose Walton and Dr. Bob Hawkins, Bob Hawkins is a very well-known, internationally renowned sexologist and did a lot of work with the trans community.
Right.
He was one of the pioneers. So that was a great experience on the one hand, but it was also a very challenging. We were, no one knew anything, and we were building this thing. And then, people just started dying.
Yeah.
But it was also, it was a difficult time because there was a lot of sickness, a lot of death, but it really strengthened the community. The way LGBTQ community came together in a time when there was no, there was no allies.
Right.
There was no, there was no political party that you could depend on. Everything was what we had to fight for. And it really helped in some ways to give cohesion to the overall movement, and then as a subsection of the movement, HIV and AIDS related rights and stuff. And then, of course, the big a breakthrough came in '96. So I was working at that time. I was working for the Staten Island AIDS Task Force.
Right.
I was doing public health education there, and which was an amazing place to work for. And just before 96, that's the advent of protease inhibitors, which changed the whole ball field. There really wasn't any treatment. I was working with a doctor, Dr. Mary Romney, who was a leader in the area of nutrition and fighting wasting syndrome, which is an aspect of the disease and an aspect of many diseases. Wasting syndrome is the loss of muscle mass and the correlation between the loss of muscle mass and progression in disease. So it's to try to prevent muscle mass loss so that you could extend life. Which was great that we had, but that was, it was really not. And then protease inhibitors broke at the beginning of 96, and that changed everything. The first effective antiviral treatments.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't a cure, but it enabled people who were at the brink of death to come back to being functioning members of society and being able to live a normal lifespan. So, and that's kind of where we remain. I mean, the big thing still is the need for a vaccine. That is absolutely critical to ending the epidemic, because that epidemic's been going around for a long time now, right? I mean, this is 2026, and we started the conversation, we were in 1980, right? So it's a long, long time. The vaccine is really very necessary, as well as to find a cure, not just something that controls it. I mean, it's great that we have what we have, but those are two advances we still need to see. Yes.
Thank you.
We need to advocate for a vaccine big time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for all of the work that you did, and for the whole community, and just, building the foundation of the LGBTQ plus community at a time when it was extremely difficult. So
yeah, and there were a lot of people, who were involved, and the forming of gay men's health crisis in Manhattan, and just so many things that really helped catapult us to where we are today. Yeah.
Now, at that time, was that when you began counseling? And as I remember, you have a part of your career that you were doing some drug and alcohol counseling?
Well, not drug and alcohol counseling, but it did involve that to a certain degree. Because it was, part of my work in public health education was as a referral counselor, a crisis counselor. So, we would have one specific, if I can tell you one specific story, because this underscores actually the importance of gay marriage or civil unions, the importance of having some type of civil recognition of gay relationships. So one day, and it was 2006 or 96 or 97, I don't remember exactly which year. I had a gentleman who came into the office, a man in his 50s, came to talk to me and tell me that he was going to take his own life. And he had made that decision, and he was really quite intent on it. I mean, we spoke, all the cues that or signals or red flags to let you know that somebody is really intent on doing this were all present. And what triggered it for him was his partner, who they had been together for 25 years, had developed Alzheimer's disease. And out of nowhere, his two sisters from South Carolina, who didn't want to have anything to do with their brother, right, their whole life, they had no interest in him because he was, gay, they showed up with police. There's no, we're not married.
Right.
And if you didn't think, because a lot of times people don't think about writing up wills or making sure that both people's names are on the deed, right? So even though they worked together to build this house, the deed had his name on it, had the partner's name on it, not his name. And they were able to have him evicted from his home.
Oh my gosh.
He couldn't take anything with him because do you have receipts? Do you have receipts to prove that you paid for that sofa?
Right.
To pay for that vacuum? You know,
of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Who does, right? And he was on the street. He had nowhere to go, and he was really, really. It was really, really sad. I mean, and he agreed. You know, I got him to agree to let me call for an ambulance, so he would go for a psych evaluation.
Right.
And he wanted to go smoke a cigarette. I was like, "Oh, you can smoke one right here in the office." Now, that was definitely, you know, this is 1990s. By this point, nobody was smoking in offices. And I went out to the people on the staff. And I was like, "Don't anyone say anything. This guy's going to smoke a cigarette. He's not leaving my visual cue." Because that's all he needed to do was to walk outside for a minute and disappear.
Oh my gosh! I
don't know what the end results were because they came and he went to the hospital, and you know they're not going to tell me. I'm nobody. So, but I mentioned that story because he was in that situation because they didn't have civil union. They didn't have, or marriage. They didn't have anything that would protect him.
Right.
So, you know, it is an important thing on ways that we don't necessarily think about it.
Which is why we continue to fight for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially when it's being threatened.
Yes, exactly. So many things. So, you know, like I mentioned about, you know, what it was like in 1960. Some people want to bring us back.
They bring us back to that.
Yeah.
And that is what is so important as we're saying is that sometimes, you know, we talked about earlier, you know, what it was like coming out in the 60s, and it could be coming back to that now because people have some people have such conservative views, or the views are switching in some ways. And so we want to keep peacefully protesting, showing up, and having conversations like this, showing people that they can be happy, healthy, successful people of the LGBTQ plus community. And this is not just good for those that are looking to come out, but also for those that have children and are wondering, you know, are they going to be okay?
Right.
You know.
Right.
So now, on the fun side, I think I remember, did you once do drag as Barbra Streisand? Am I correct?
I did. I did Barbra Streisand one time. That's when I met Ivan the Terrible. Ivan the Terrible was actually one of the popular, well, not popular, well, he was popular drag queen, but he was one of the drags who was at Stonewall.
Yes. And you must know many of the historic queens and
Ivan is the only one that I really knew.
Okay.
And Ivan I was living on Long Island, and he was going to do a show at a local. Well, that's where we had a lot. We used to have a lot of dance clubs and gay bars on Long Island. We used to have a lot of them. And there was one called Stars back in the 80s. And that was the big, big club. And he was coming there for that. And he did my makeup.
Right.
And everything. And I mean, he really made me look like Barbra Streisand.
Right.
And I sang the song "People," you know, people who love people. But
I could see it though. I could see it. I have to admit,
fun. I had a great gown. It was really fun. But it didn't kind of click with me. And I also met Chaka Savalas. Now Chaka Savalas was a beautiful, beautiful drag queen. She impersonated Donna Summers.
Oh.
She was more beautiful than Donna Summers.
Oh,
she was. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
And then I met, I met a bunch of drags over the years, but like one of my closest friend, Ariel Sinclair, is a popular queen down on Long Island, New York City, especially Fire Island. She's
right.
kind of the reigning queen of Fire Island.
So drag wasn't for you.
No, because I wanted to sing. Well, see, because I didn't, drag at that time, or at least in that context, was all lip sync.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do lip sync. I wanted to sing, right. And at that time, it wasn't the thing, for whatever reason. Now, there are performers who do sing and with their own voice, whether they sing in a falsetto or if they're singing in their natural voice, and so that's great. Because that's how it was really before. People sang in their own voice before they had recordings to to
exactly.
lip sync to.
Yeah.
Right.
I know when I sing, I sound like I swallowed B. Arthur, basically. Or a little bit of Ethel Merman, which is great for me. So you had this amazing, fabulous, probably exhausting, heart-wrenching New York City life. And
in my early years.
In your early years.
It was. I was in love. It was unrequited. And I couldn't accept the reality.
Yeah.
Just one thing I'll tell you something. If someone doesn't love you and they tell you they don't love you, accept the reality.
Believe them. Right.
Just accept it. Right. And move on.
I think we've all been there at one point or another.
Well, don't waste years on it.
Don't waste years.
Yeah. But it was great. It was fun in the city. And that's
And then at what point did you decide that it was time to move out of the city?
Well, I was kind of back and forth. So I was in the city in the early 80s, and then I moved back to Long Island, which is where I was for most of the 80s. Then I moved to California. I lived in San Francisco, and that was a lot of fun.
I bet.
And I actually know a very popular drag out there. The funny thing is I only know him as David Lastman, who's a very famous hairdresser. And I can't think of his name as his drag name, but he's a big drag personality out in South.
It's not Peaches Christ, is it?
No. Anyway, so
I think
I was there for the earthquake. It was fun. And then I came back.
I was there for the earthquake. It was fun.
It was fun. And then I moved back to New York, and I lived in New York City through a good deal of the 90s, from 92 until 99 when I moved back to Long Island.
So then what brought you, though, from the New York City area, we'll say, to upstate New York?
Retirement. Yes, retirement. Because then in the course of things, after I finished working in HIV as a public health educator, which I did for a long, long time. And then I went back to Long Island. I had a short career in culinary. I worked as a garde manger.
Amazing.
Oh, yes. That was a lot of fun. I loved it. I worked mostly for the Long Island Sheridan, but I worked at a couple of other places too. And you do lots of weddings and events because it was a lot of fun. And then I thought that was going to be my career. But then...
One of your careers.
Well, I thought it was going to be it. I thought I was really going to stick to that, and that was going to be it.
Okay.
After, because I worked in the healthcare field for like 25 years, and I was over it. But then I went into ministry. Wasn't expecting that totally. I mean, I had gone when I was very young. That's what I was doing.
Right.
That's where I was headed. Right. That was where everything was targeted to go there before I came out.
Right.
And to be part of a religious order and go to the cloister and live a life of silence and prayer.
That's not you.
Well, actually, it is kind of
a little bit.
Yeah, no, it would have suited me very fine. But it just happened at a point in life where other things were happening, and I was like, questioning what did I want, where did I want to go, and so. Do
you think that all of that life experience helped you to be even more impactful in the church?
Well, then, that was in my youth. I was in the Roman Catholic Church, but when I went into ministry, in the context of the Protestant denomination. Okay. It was very kind of different. And then I did that for 15 years, and then I retired. And so when I retired, I have two kids, two children by adoption, and it was very important to me that my kids be able to live independently all their life, because they've already been in institutional settings. They know what it's like. And the only place in New York that's, affordable is this area.
This upstate New York area, yeah.
Well, Western New York, really. And so that's why we moved here, because it's affordable. And it's also very beautiful. I mean, It's just an absolutely beautiful part of New York. And it's a part of New York that most New Yorkers are not really very familiar with at all.
Right. Most people think when you say upstate New York, they don't even think upstate or the Western New York. They never think of this area.
They never think of this area. No, they're thinking of the Catskills.
Yes.
Yeah, and Albany. That's upstate.
That's as far. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And interesting because the people who consider themselves upstaters, they don't consider the Catskills to be part of upstate, right? Upstate is the North Country, is the Adirondacks and that side of the area. But New York is really huge. I mean, it is a really big state, and the Western New York is unbelievably huge.
Right. And you're continuing to explore it. You're finding your way around bit by bit.
A little bit, yeah. I finally got to Kulka Lake. I think it's
Cayuga Lake.
Kaluka?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Cayuga. I think that's how you say it.
Kueka.
Yeah.
Which is, it's right near Hammondsport, which is a lovely, lovely town. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to see up in Western New York and the Finger Lake regions. There really is. I think it's an amazing part of the state to visit. Not just to live in, but to visit. I think there's a lot to see here.
And you appreciate when in your videos, you appreciate the beautiful nature and the birds, and you're sometimes talking to the birds, which is just so great. And I just love it. And I again,
so
I encourage people to follow you on Instagram, and also the GoFundMe.
I'm on YouTube now too.
You're on YouTube now?
Yes, I'm on YouTube too.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. I know that our age group, it's difficult to get ourselves to, wrap our heads around all the technology.
Yes. Well, you're younger than I am.
I'll be 55 this week.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. But 55, I wish I was 55 again. But no, I'm a little bit older than you.
You're a little bit older, but you look great. Are you going to share your age or no?
I'm going to be in exactly about a month. I'll be 68.
You look fantastic.
Jonah.
And you go to the gym.
You're
at the gym. And I understand that on occasion you're dating. Or maybe it's just on the apps, we'll call it.
No, I haven't. No, I went on
no longer
one date in the past 3 years.
Oh, really?
If you want to call it a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, our
date exactly active in that way. And I live in an area that's very kind of. I'm in
remote.
The sticks.
Yeah.
Literally, literally, all around us. There's nothing but sticks. It's trees everywhere.
It's trees.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Now, tell me a little bit about your feelings on Parmesan cheese.
Well, there's only one. Well, Parmesan or Romano.
Romano, okay, yeah.
So, Pecorino Romano.
Yes.
Locatelli. That's it.
That's the one.
Nothing else. Yeah. It has to be freshly grated.
Freshly grated.
No, there really is a difference when it's freshly grated as opposed to when it comes already packaged and it's grated.
And your kids have recognized that as well. They know.
Yes.
They know.
I ruined when I say I ruined my younger son, the first time because he loves pasta is his favorite thing. And the very first time I ever made pasta for him, and I went to, and he was like, oh, I don't want that.
Right.
And he's like, I like Kraft. And I was like, Kraft? Over my dead body, will I bring Kraft into this house? No, but I said, listen, let me just put a little bit on one little piece of pasta. You taste it. If you don't like it, I'll go right now and buy Kraft. Yes. And he tasted it, and I said, you want me to go buy Kraft? I could tell from his face because it lit up. And he was like, no. But Locatelli is a lot more expensive than Kraft. Right. But it's more expensive because it's worth it.
Yeah.
Kraft isn't even cheese. No offense, Kraft. We love you.
Right.
You're wonderful.
In case you want to sponsor us.
Yeah.
But I will say, one of the things that is on your Instagram, there is a link for a GoFundMe. And that link, I just want to mention, and we're going to have it as part of the video for people if they feel as they would like to donate. And your goal is to make sure that your kids have...
Well, it's to help to provide for their long-term independence.
Yes.
Everything is set. This is one big problem is finding a person to take over for me. Because my kids are, they're in many ways they do stuff with themselves, but they're not completely independent.
Right.
And so that's the biggest challenge. And and the GoFundMe that's the way people can help and also to help with the wildflower sanctuary and trying to keep that going. It's all kind of interconnected.
Yeah.
At least in my mind. And so that's been a great thing. I don't promote it enough or at all, actually.
Well, that's why I'm promoting it now, because I know you're modest and you don't. It's important to you because you're such a great parent and you're there and you're really helping them so much. And people, when they watch your videos, there's a connection there that is so beautiful, and I think people want to reach out
Oh, you're very
and do what they can. And tell us, as we wrap up, a little bit about some of the messages you receive. You must have a lot of comments and messages of gratitude.
Well, I do. I do get a lot of people who give me a lot of positive feedback and, tell me that, I help them get through the day or whatever. So I'm grateful for that. I mean, that was not totally expected. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm glad that that's the case. And like I said, it's just kind of unfolding. In the beginning, it was a lot of just whatever, and I would just talk, whatever. Now I give a lot of thought to things, and I do kind of plan things out and actually rehearse things, even though it may not always may seem like it's very spontaneous.
Very You're a great actor.
It may seem very spontaneous, but it's not necessarily. Sometimes it is, but not always.
What are you watching on TV?
I don't really watch TV.
No,
isn't that terrible? I watch YouTube.
No, that's not terrible.
Yeah, I watch YouTube occasionally. They have lots of good things on YouTube, but I'm not really a big into television.
And when you're creating your floral, is that like almost a meditative?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and which is one of the reasons why I don't do like live demonstrations, because.
Personal.
Because I need silence, okay, and I'm very much in the flow,
right?
The flow, and so it's the end result that is meant to be meditative, because that's how I look at it. It's really not just flowers are nice, pretty things, and we can use them as decoration, but there's more of a meditation, not only in the process of making it, but then once it's made, to look at it and to meditate on it, to connect to nature. I mean, I think that's why I'm so inspired by Japanese floral design, because their whole concept is really about connecting with the natural world.
Yeah. And as we wrap up, first off, I'm so grateful that you came today.
Well, I'm very grateful you invited me. Thank you.
And I look forward to. We haven't had lunch in a while, whether it's lunch, and I know we talked about dinner, but just getting to know each other more and more. I look forward to that. What would you tell a listener right now in these times that could be uncertain, and you've gone through so much in your life and you've had many experiences? What would you say is a way for them to kind of keep grounded and to keep sane in this difficult time?
Well, that's a good question. I think probably one of the most useful things you could do is remember to be true to yourself, right? And if you don't know who you are, because sometimes we don't. We have competing voices in our head. We've been raised to hear lots of different things. Is to just learn to trust yourself. Really, to learn to trust yourself, and who you are, is already there. You are who you are. Right. Okay, so just embrace yourself for who you are and love yourself. And I mean by love yourself in the sense of taking care of yourself. Do what you need to do for your own benefit. Make sure you eat healthy, make sure you give time for proper rest. It's easy to get caught up in everything, right. And, whether it's the social life or in the political life or whatever, but to always remember that whatever's going on around you, it affects your life, but it is not your life, right? Your life is your life, and
right.
You need to own it and be happy with it, and be happy with yourself.
That's
just
beautiful.
Love yourself, accept yourself. Because you're a wonderful creature. You are the only one, right? People say that all the time, but it's really true. You are the only you that will ever be. And to be the best you is all you can do.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. It's really, one of the things I learned in my recovery program is that self-care is not selfish. It's the word selfish can be considered a negative thing, but to take care of yourself is the most loving thing you can do. Yeah,
if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of others?
That's right.
You think about the airplane, right? When they give the instruction, who do you put the airbag on first? You,
right?
Because you can't help your child if you've passed out, right? Yeah, exactly.
That's
right.
Perfect.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
And cheers.
Cheers.
And we say, good morning.
Or good afternoon.
Or good afternoon.
Or good evening.
Or good evening.
Whatever it is, have a good one.
That's right. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been extremely inspiring and special, and I'm just so glad that we have this moment to share. I hope it gave you as much peace as it gave me. And I look forward to talking to you again.